under personnel on miscellaneous. Can
Very
everybody hear?
well.
Can you hear me okay down there?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
great.
Gotta be careful. I'm gonna use my announcer voice. I'll start accenting things and whatnot, you know. Moving on, the approval of minutes from the, let's do the October 20th. Was everybody, I think we have, was everybody at both meetings? I don't think
You weren't at the October 20th meeting.
That's right. So let's split the October 20th out. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes for both of those executive and regular meeting on the 20th?
So moved.
Jim Reitzman has made the motion.
Second.
Seconded by Kim. All those in favor? 6. All those abstaining is 1. That's me. All right, the November 8th special session and the November 8th executive session. Questions or comments on those? Do we have a motion to approve them as they're presented? Gina has made the motion. Seconded by Elise. All those in favor? 6. All those abstaining? 1. Jim. All right, payroll and claims, Mr. Schimpf.
Yeah, if you look at the current month's payroll, you're gonna see it's up above the prior month and the prior year at this point. Part of that's because the ECA pays went through, so that's worth noting. Also, claims are up. That happens at this time of year, but it doesn't always happen in comparison to the prior year. So seeing those claims higher, it's worth noting that at the end of October, we were still really only at 60% of our appropriation. So we were roughly 26% below, 24% below what we would have been expected to spend by this point in the year. So essentially, we've had a tight belt most of the year, and now there's some costs coming out. And so that's why that number's a little bit higher than the prior year.
Very well. Are there questions or comments for Mr. Schimpf? If there are none, do I have a motion to approve them? Zach has made a motion.
I'll second.
Seconded by Brandy. All those in favor? 7-0 vote. Financial reports.
As you can see in line 101 and 300, those are your two primary funds. And the education fund is still remains strong. The operations fund is, I thought was interesting to note, it's within 1% of where it was last year in this month. And so I thought that was nice for consistency purposes to see that just a little bit above where it was last year this month.
Okay, are there any questions about the financial reports? Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Brandy has made the motion.
Second.
Seconded by Kim. All those in favor? 7-0 vote. Extracurricular reports, Mr. Schimpf?
Yeah, on the extracurriculars, not a lot to point out there necessarily. Worth looking at the accounts, seeing that, they're relatively strong. We have some, any specific questions on it, or? Nope.
Are there questions by anybody on any of the ECA? If there are none, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Jim has made it, motion. Gina with the second. All those in favor? 7-0. Utility cost report.
Yeah, on page 51, it still stands out, and I know it was March, but it just still stings that Constellation Pro Alliance number is skewing our final numbers on page 51, the second to last row worth of totals. But that's when we had that huge issue back in the spring where gas companies were charging different rates than what we were used to. The other thing I thought was interesting on the bottom of 51 was just to see the grand total there is very close to the grand total from a prior year. And so I think that's nice to see. It's nicer to see when it's a lot below the prior year, but at least it's right there consistent. So I thought that was worth pointing out. Okay,
are there any questions on the utility report? If There is no action tonight on that. There are no requests and communications. So we have a resignation, Mrs. Bonomo.
Yeah, I'd recommend the board approve Nicole Bonomo's resignation as an instructional assistant at Rockville Elementary and as the cheer coach at Park Heritage Middle School. She would receive 10% of the coaching stipend for work already completed. This was a position that's been split out a couple times now, but she would receive 10% of the remainder.
Very well, do we have a motion? Elise has made the motion.
Second.
Kim with the second. All those in favor? 7-0. Okay, recommendation to approve staff.
Yeah, a few staff members here. Kayla Okerson, substitute bus driver. She's fantastic. Love having another bus driver. Chase Nichols will be on a temp contract for elementary PE. He is in Mrs. Harpold's position. He'll be placed at a level A. That'll be prorated, obviously, over the course of the year. And then Rick Akers as a daytime 8-hour custodian at Park Heritage High School. Rick's going to come back and has been back, and so that's great and appreciated. I would recommend the board approve those as presented.
Very well, if there are no questions, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Kim has made the motion,
Second.
seconded by Jim. All those in favor? 7-0 vote. Okay, ECA assignments.
Yeah, we got a few positions here. I would recommend Melissa Smith for the middle school cheer for the remaining 70% of the stipend for middle school cheer. Mitch Simmons as varsity boys basketball assistant and varsity baseball coach. And those are the two ECAs for now. Next month we'll have a few more for spring coaches.
Very well. Do we have a motion? Zach has made the motion. Seconded by Elise. All those in favor? 7-0 vote. There is no old business tonight. New business, approval of donations. $50 from James and Gary Hanner Law Partnership, $100 from Park Vermillion FOP, $715 from Cheer Parent Boosters, $100 from Rockville Athletic Alumni, $10 from Daniel and Bethany Giesel, $100 from Ryan Luce State Farm, $100 from Park County Community Foundation, $300 from Anonymous, $50 from JR Pharmacy, $3,000 from the Treasurer of Park County, $150 from Otterman Church, $17.98.40 from the Community Foundation, $20 Anonymous, another $1,000 from the Community Foundation, $200 from the American Legion 48, $455 and $100 from the Community Foundation, for a total of $8,238.40. So we appreciate all the donations. That's outstanding. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Kim has made the motion. Seconded by Brandy. All those in favor? 7-0 vote. Student transfers.
Yeah, we have a couple student transfers here. Just one student into 5th grade, Rockville to Turkey Run, and one student from Southeast Fountain to Park Heritage Middle School in the 8th grade. Our count today is 1180. We were 1175 at the count day. There's always some fluctuation. You know, we see that every month. There are a couple here and there, but 1180 is where we're at as of today.
Wow, that's good. Do we have a motion to approve the transfers? Gina has made the motion.
Second.
Kim with the second. All those in favor? 7-0 vote. Okay, substitute pay.
Yeah, I'm recommending that substitute teachers, and we've got these broken out separate, is why I had to break them out here in this recommendation. Substitute teachers 19 years of age and older be paid $75 a day, and anyone with a bachelor's degree or higher would be paid $85 a day. In addition, I recommend substitute nurses be paid $85 a day to be consistent across the board there. This would be effective, if you approve it, 11/18/21. So tomorrow it would start. So we're not going back to add $5 or $10 here or there.
Okay, are there any questions or comments on this? There are none. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Brandy has made a motion. Seconded by Jim. All those in favor? 7-0 vote. Okay, recommendation to approve an update on the COVID policy language.
Yeah, it's been recommended multiple times over the past couple years. The corporation has worked to keep our COVID policies up to date. They've not necessarily been perfect along the way, but we've tried to do the best that we could with establishing policies that will keep kids safe in school and participating in academics as much as possible. And so I've got a policy here that starts on page 53 and 54, and it's essentially what we've passed prior to this, except for your first couple paragraphs, which I can read through if you'd like, or you've already read through them probably. And then where it gets at quarantines, where we wanted to separate out a little bit and make sure we were consistent with the requirements. Were there questions on this as far as the changes that were made?
So I just want to be clear. If a student has a positive test, then anybody who's a close contact will be required to quarantine.
If a student has a positive test from a laboratory confirmed, right? I think is what that says.
Everybody get a PCR test.
We can't make them legally. I can't, we can't make them.
So if they have a positive rapid, are we quarantining their close contacts?
Right now they are quarantined right now.
But are there close contacts to a rapid? So if I'm a rapid positive and I've been around Jim, is he gonna get quarantined? But are they quarantining? So we're still not requiring per state guidelines for these kids to quarantine. We're leaving it up to parents? Is that where we are?
This doesn't say anything about parents on here.
So if it says.
What? Go ahead.
If a student's labeled close contact who has been confirmed to have a positive case via lab confirmed or clinical compatible illness, the student will be quarantined in line with the local requirements.
Right, and what we were trying to do was say, sorry, I don't mean to cut in there.
No,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
No, what we were trying to say is, we know that we understand these local requirements change, and we establish these based upon what the local health department tells us and what, state tells us, but the local requirements change from time to time. So by wording it this way, it gave us the leeway to be able to not have to go back and change it each time, is I guess why I wanted to word it that way. The prior to that piece was language taken directly from a document that was given by the Indiana State Department of Health that to have via laboratory confirmed or clinically compatible illness. That language I had changed a little bit, and then Audra came back and said, no, it needs to be this way. This is what it says with the state. And so I went back and changed it to the language that you have here that I think is consistent with what the state's saying.
So what are we doing with the close contacts?
So a close contact of a laboratory confirmed or clinical would be informed of close contact, and then they would have to quarantine based on local guidelines,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
Yeah,
That's why
I
I
mean,
wanna
that's
make
what-
sure
I mean, that's what yeah.
There's no choice. Like, if you're a close contact, you have to quarantine.
I mean, that's the way I'm reading that.
Okay, yeah.
Is that the way we all understood that? Right.
Yes. So if their PCR comes back, and in the interim, they're quarantined. And if their PCR comes back positive, then clearly they'll stay quarantined. And then if it's negative, then they can come out of it. Okay.
Okay, are there other questions or comments about the policy? If there are none, do we have a motion? Brandy has made the motion. Gina with a second. All those in favor? 7-0 vote. Teacher contracts.
Yeah, in your packet, pages 55 to 76, you've got a copy of the master contract between the Board of Trustees and the North Central Park Community School Corporation, the Teachers Association. I would recommend that you approve this as presented. It's gone through each of the multiple meetings that we have to do along the way, that the state says we need to meet a couple times and have 72 hours in between. We've done that repeatedly. We sat down, we had a really good conversation with the Teachers Association, I felt like, and teachers are going to be able to get a $3,000 raise to their base salary this year, and again, next year, they'll have a $3,000 raise on their base salary. So I feel good about that. It's a 2-year contract, and I think it's a good one.
Very well. Are there questions or comments?
I have some questions. Shocking, I know, right? So on page 58, there's just the part about, if teachers are on leave at the beginning of the school year, they won't move up the salary schedule until returning to their full-time position. And we dealt with this, I think, last year, about these teachers who are either on maternity or some type of leave at the beginning of the year are separated out for some reason, but they're still a full-time employee. So should they, I guess, why are we separating them out? Because we went back and fixed it about them getting their days, remember, at the beginning.
So I had a discussion with this in the office, and I don't recall, I know we've talked about it somewhere along the line, but I don't, this was what was in there when we took it to the association, and they've approved it from their side. So give them a raise for not ever coming back. Whereas they're gone half a year, they come back to school, that's when they're raised, they move up in the schedule. And that would be the rationale, I would think, that makes sense on why you wouldn't move somebody up while they're gone. If you started the year, you would already have had opportunity to move up based upon the contract being settled.
So as long as they've come one day, like what's the cutoff? Do they have to be so many days before they get it? Or like if
Yeah,
there's
it doesn't.
somebody who's on an intermittent leave?
If they've been there, I mean, I don't know what we could say otherwise. I mean,
And then on page 59 on D, I was just curious, like, we're having teacher shortages everywhere. Retired teachers shall not be eligible for a one-time hiring stipend. I was just curious if there's if there's some sort of statute that says we can't do that, like if it was the ability to get somebody who had the experience and retired versus not.
yeah, that's not something that the association brought up that they'd like to see happen necessarily, but I hear what you're saying. You're saying we need opportunity to be able to hire people.
Right, so if you,
I
so say
think.
you, yes, absolutely. So if you have somebody who's interested, can you come back and talk to the association and say, can they be agreeable to that, or no?
I couldn't speak for them. I mean, I sure couldn't speak for them, but
I mean, can
you're
you
saying
ask?
next year, could we have a hiring bonus for somebody who's a retired teacher? I mean, not the way I read the contract right now.
Okay, we'd have to do it next
I mean,
year.
we'd obviously have to have discussions no matter what,
Right.
but, yeah.
And then my only other question was, for the hard-to-fill positions, and we kind of talked about this with something else, if we give a one-time hiring bonus and they don't stay, is there they have to stay for a certain amount of time, or they have to pay back that?
They haven't had to pay that back. No,
Okay,
they
so
have not
They can
on
get
the
it.
hiring bonus, yeah. And the way that we've looked at that is, or I think the way that I've looked at that is, it's gonna cost us one way or the other to bring somebody new in. And so if that hiring bonus, even if we just get the rent, right, if we shouldn't say it that way probably, but if you get somebody for the 1 year, it's still worth it, because if it took that stipend, that extra stipend to get them here, or that bonus to get them here, that's better than not having a teacher, right? So it's worth the spend up front, even if we don't get the longevity out of it. And I know that's kind of contrary to once upon a time when we would give that as more of a, hey, we've got 5 different great applicants, and number one, we're going to give you these extra dollars because we want to give you this as a show of faith and because we believe in you and we value you. Now we've got 2 applicants and one is on the fence whether or not they're coming here or not, and we give them these additional dollars and maybe they leave at the end of the year, but at least we got a year out of them. And
So what if we don't get, so say there's a hard-to-fill position, they make it midway through the semester, we paid them the $3,500. Can you then offer somebody else another $3,500 if it's technically hard to fill?
yeah, I mean, it doesn't say that you couldn't. Yeah, it doesn't say that you couldn't.
That's gonna get expensive.
It could, that's why I wonder if there's.
But the board would have to approve that.
Could also divide it into 2 payments, but it doesn't say when those payments are.
They're December and May.
Okay,
So they leave
they
before
would
that.
stay the whole year
Yeah.
to get the second part.
That's all my questions.
Okay.
Any other questions, Brandy?
Nope, that's good, thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? I think it's excellent that we can give our teachers a raise like this. I think excellent for the committee, bargaining committee did a great job in getting this done like this fast, so I appreciate it. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Kim made the motion,
Second.
seconded by Jim. All those in favor? 6, all those abstaining? All right, let's go to approve the transfer from Education Operations Fund. Mr. Schimpf?
On page 77, you're going to see a resolution to approve a transfer from the Education Fund operations. The maximum that a corporation can transfer in a given year is 15%. I would like to see us transfer a maximum of 10%, which would equate to $275,916.83 on the final transfer of the year on December 3rd with your approval. If you have any questions about that, let me know.
Questions or comments? Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Brandy's made the motion. Elise with the second. All those in favor? 7-0 vote. Okay, recommendation to approve compensation updates.
Yeah, as the corporation's been able to do so, it's important to consider updates to administrative salaries as well. I'm recommending the following salary updates for Rebecca Corey, Jana Kreitz, and Jane McMullen. Essentially, they would get the $3,000 raise in line with the teachers. And I can go through those amounts if you want, or
No further questions or comments on that? Do we have a motion to approve?
So,
Gina's made a motion.
second.
Kim with the second. All those in favor? 7-0 vote. Okay, other administrators' salary updates.
yeah, as we're looking at, again, wanting to value our people, and as I looked around at other corporation salary schedules for administrators, well, not salary schedules, they don't all have those. I did find one that does have one of those, but our salaries were a little bit behind on the administrator side in a couple instances. And so I am recommending that the corporation agrees to provide 100% insurance, except for $1, to our principals for plan either 6 or 7 through the trust. And we continue to, or the corporation continues to contribute $1,200 to their HSAs, and for their salaries to be as follows, which 2 of them were extended by 3 days. Kristen Robinson on a 205-day contract for a total of $80,898. Jennifer Benjamin on a 205-day contract for a total of $77,784. And then Amanda Williams on a 217-day contract for $81,000. And we'll address the high school principal later. The effective date on those is important here. When it comes to tax ramifications, we need to begin the insurance on January 1st, 2022, but I would like to see the effective date for the salaries to be July 1st of 2021.
Very well. Are there questions or comments? If there are none, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Brandy's made the motion.
So the reading of the motion is gonna have in it, except for the $1, and adding the effective dates of both the insurance and the salary?
Correct.
Okay. Second.
Kim with a second. All those in favor? 7-0. Okay, Mrs. Gilstrap?
Yeah, Karina Gilstrap's been covering both our Park Heritage Middle School and Turkey Run Elementary in the role of counselor. I'm recommending that she be compensated for the additional work in the amount of $75 per day until we can find a full-time counselor to fill both roles.
If there are no questions, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Jean has made the motion. Elise with the second. All those in favor? 7-0 vote. Okay, a recommendation to approve corporation level ECAs.
Yeah, corporation level ECAs are there before you. If you have any questions on those, let me know. If you like, I can read through them. But we've got a good list here. Karina is, and we'll get to that later, that may be a question a little bit later on, but she is planning to still be the high ability person for building coordinator, Turkey Run Elementary, even though she's in both of those positions right now.
Okay, if no one has a questions on those, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Brandy's made the motion.
Second.
Jim with the second. All those in favor? 7-0. Okay, fundraisers.
Yeah, we got a few fundraisers here. The high school FFA would like to sell T-shirts and raise a couple $100 toward conventions and contests. High school athletic department selling apparel. They're always wanting to raise $1,000 to $2,000, it seems, on the apparel sales. That's a goal they have. Middle school drama, candygrams for costs associated with plays, and they're hoping to raise $200 as well.
Very well. If there are no questions or comments, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Gina has made the motion.
Second.
Kim with the second. All those in favor? 7-0 vote. Recommendation to approve purchase.
Yeah, Jana Kreitz has been working at microphones and speakers for some time. She has obtained a grant in the amount of $3,000 from REMC Operation Roundup and $4,500 from International Paper for microphones. You see on page 78 from your packet, there's information on those. She's also seeking an additional $3,000 from the Park County Community Foundation, but that wouldn't occur until December, if it does. The quote for the microphones is $19,481.20. With the money collected so far, there's a remainder of $11,981.20. I'm recommending the corporation pay the remainder in order to obtain this new equipment for our drama department, with the hope that the additional dollars from the foundation offset that much more. And essentially, she will have been able to obtain about half the cost of the microphones outside of corporation dollars.
So, is this the second half of what we did last?
We were at the middle school the last time, I want to say, when the
When
first
we-
half of all this was approved.
And how much was the first half? Was like 40,000? It was here.
I'm sorry, I can't tell you. Yeah, I would have to look it up.
Maybe it wasn't quite that much.
These are the headset microphones, and so the students right now, they're doing dramas across the county right now this week, it seems. They're going to Rosedale, they're going to different places, and as they do that, they actually rented the headsets from, I think from the Ritz, because they don't have their own headsets. And they only had 6 of them, I think, and this is for 8, if I remember correctly, and realistically, they needed well, it's not 8, they needed 8, but they made do with 6 is what happened there.
Very well. I was just curious. Any other questions or comments?
I see that this quote expires on May 23rd. Has that been extended? I mean,
They had,
is it-
they
is
had
the
said
price-
that they would honor they said they would honor the price.
Okay.
If there are no other questions or comments, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Brandy's made the motion. Second for Zach. All those in favor? 7-0. Okay, recommendation regarding facility use.
Okay, in April of 2018, the Board of Trustees voted on the location where all boys varsity basketball games would be played. With the recent rebranding of the gym at Rockville Elementary to coincide with the mascot and themes of park heritage, there's been a desire expressed to revisit the concept of deciding where certain events should be staged from the board level. It's my recommendation that the building administrators, in consultation with the middle and high school athletic directors, and when necessary, other school personnel, such as sponsors, make the determination as to where school events will be held. That would be my recommendation to the board regarding facility use.
Okay, questions or comments? If there are none, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Kim has made the motion. Seconded by Elise. All those in favor? 6. All those opposed? 1. Okay, moving on to miscellaneous business. I've got here somewhere. Karina Gilstrap.
Yeah, I'm recommending that Karina Gilstrap's responsibilities be transferred from elementary counselor at Turkey Run Elementary to middle school counselor at Park Heritage Middle School. She is serving in both of these capacities right now, but the more that she's spent time there at the middle school, she really feels like that's where her heart is at, and she wants to work with middle schoolers. And so what we would do if you approve this is open up the elementary counseling position. And again, if we end up looking at a social worker, or we find somebody else to fill the role that we need for kids, we would do that. But we'll start by trying to find an elementary counselor if you approve this change. Her contracted daily rate would remain the same. The difference would be she'd be on a 197-day contract, which is longer than the elementary counselor contract. She has 15 days instead of 8, or that position does. Making that adjustment, as I said, that would give opportunity. Tomorrow we can post for an elementary counselor if you choose to approve that.
Very well. Are there questions or comments? Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Brandy's made the motion.
Second.
Jim with the second. All those in favor? 7-0 vote. Alyssa Morrison.
Yeah, Alyssa Morrison is being recommended as a high school social studies teacher. Ms. Morrison will be graduating this December from Indiana State University, but after consulting with them and Bruce Patton made a phone call, talked to supervisor over there, Ms. Morrison would be able to begin on November 29th, which is a little bit early. We run into some things as far as contractually how we go about paying there, because she won't yet be able to have an emergency license, but we would want to pay her the full amount once we could. She would be placed at level A, which would be prorated over the entire year, but essentially she'd have a little more than half the year's salary. The other component there that I didn't type here that Brandy kind of brought up, I think, a while ago with the signing bonuses, was that we had discussed a signing bonus for Alyssa because we could not find applicants for our social studies position. And we had intended to give her a sign-on bonus that I did not type in here, that I had handwritten. And so that might be up for discussion with the board, but I was recommending a $2,000 sign-on. We're almost halfway through the year, and so that's a little bit more than half of the max. The max for the year is $3,500, just as a reminder. So if there's any discussion on that, please let me know.
So she can get the sign, because you said you have to watch how you pay her.
Well, we typically would wait until May because she's just now
Because she's
beginning.
starting
Yeah,
in November.
yeah.
Other questions? Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Jim has made the motion. Second by Zach. All those in favor? 7-0. Okay, speech language pathologist.
Yeah, in April of this year, the board approved the hiring of an additional part-time speech-language pathologist. At that time, I explained this may not be enough help, but that it would be a step in the right direction. Recently, we found an individual who would be willing to work 2 days a week, which would positively change the dynamic of our offerings in regard to speech services. Currently, we have our other part-time person does 3 days a week, and so with this too, it would be like a full-time speech person. And again, we have 2 people with a great deal of experience, and so we're the ones that benefit here, and the students most of all. Subsequently, I guess I would say I'm recommending that Kathleen Clifford be hired as an SLP for the corporation. Kathleen's rate of pay would be $55 per hour. That's the same as our other SLP that we've hired in a similar fashion, for a maximum of 16 hours per week, averaged over the course of the year. The reason I thought it was important to average was in case we had an off week here or there and she needed to make up minutes. If you have any questions there, please let me know. This I think can be hugely, it can just be huge for our kids, having these additional speech services. And I'm just thankful that she's willing to come on board and excited about it.
Is she a new speech therapist?
No, she's experienced and has experience at other schools. Mrs. Benjamin had worked with her at a prior corporation, and I had spoken with her a couple months ago, and there was another situation that had come up, and she wasn't able to consider it at that time. And she's since then had conversations with Alyssa Gideon and Karen Selby, our other SLPs, and they have a setup on how they'll break it out, who will be responsible for what. I mean, it's a really good setup. I think we'll have a fantastic speech department once we bring her on board.
Are there questions or comments? There are none. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Gina has made the motion. Second by Elise. All those in favor? 7-0. Okay, Mr. Patton.
Yeah, as a final personnel recommendation for this evening, I am recommending Bruce Patton as Park Heritage High School principal. Bruce isn't able to be here tonight because he's at the WRC banquet, which he should be there where the kids are at. But we received 16 applicants for the position of principal. A committee of teachers and I met. I heard their hopes regarding a building principal, and in that discussion, ultimately, they expressed their strong desire to have Mr. Patton in the full-time role, as they've been so pleased with his performance as an interim principal to this point. And so that's going to be my recommendation, is that Mr. Patton be approved in that role. If he is approved, his salary would be set at $90,000 for a 217-day contract. In addition, the corporation would pay 100% the cost of insurance through the trust, Plan 6 or 7, again, beginning January 1st, as well as the $1,200 yearly into an HSA.
Very well. Are there any questions or comments?
With that, what will you do with the transportation?
So transportation will have to move away from that position, and we don't have concrete how that's going to work out yet.
Wanted to make sure he wasn't.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's appropriate to expect him to do all that. I think it's too much for any one person. But thanks for bringing that up. I should have said that.
Other questions? There are none. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Kim has made the motion.
Second.
Seconded by Gina. All those in favor? 7-0 vote. Okay, that closes the book on miscellaneous business. And we're to the superintendent's report.
Yeah, I just have a few things. We've got a lot of positives going on right now. I would say congratulations to the girls' basketball team. Congratulations to the boys' football team. I mean, we've got some athletic success going on right now. I haven't had a chance to catch any wrestling yet, but, you know, we've got a lot of kids out there participating in various activities. We've got kids doing plays right now. Middle schoolers were in here before we were practicing drama. I mean, there's a lot of great activity going on in the schools, and so I'm excited about that. A low note, if you will, our iLearn scores came in, and the state averages are, as suspected, the state averages are down there well below 50%. And the highest in the state for any one school corporation was just over 70%. And so, again, I think we have a flawed test, but there is data there we can use to improve from. And so just to give you an example, in looking through our middle schoolers, 6th and 7th grade were outscored by another corporation, you know, within 30 miles of here that was similar to us. In 8th grade, that same corporation scores were below ours. And so I start to look for trends, and I'm trying to figure out what happened there, what's different there. And I was having a conversation with Lisa Reitzman as our curriculum coordinator. Lisa had already dug further into it than I had, and she had started breaking down the information and was looking for the real answers. And so while I'm disappointed by the score numbers, the way that we're going to approach bringing those numbers up, I'm not at all disappointed about. I'm thrilled with having somebody in that position who's already digging into it and trying to figure out how she can share that with teachers and help us bring those kids' scores up. COVID numbers, I guess the other update there would be we have 2 staff members, I think, right now who are still positive, and 5 students, if I read the form right before I walked in. Okay. So we're not at 0 right now, which, you know, but we're, you know, we're not in double digits at this point. It's not gone, and so, you know, we recommend people take care of themselves. And last couple things. I should have mentioned as well, you know, we've had some high ability camps happening after school. I'm thankful that, again, Lisa Reitzman's done a great job as high ability coordinator as well. Mike Grubb led some students in some STEM-related activities. I had a lot of positive feedback from students and parents about what's going on with STEM. Mike Grubb was in my office again the other day showing me some more things that he'd come across that you would code to remotely control this robot, and just really cool stuff for our kids, and that's for 4th grade, right? I mean, that's a 4th grade thing, and it's really exciting, and so we're looking forward to adding more of that. And the last thing I would talk about, I guess, is we got our final rebate check from REMC today for putting in the LED lighting at Turkey Run Elementary and Park Heritage Middle School. So we got an additional $15,000 today, which brings us to around $40,000 in rebate dollars, on top of $3,000 check for the load shedding program that we're involved in. So thought that was positive. I appreciate REMC helping us out there. That would be it for my report, unless you have any questions.
Questions for Mr. Schimpf on the report? Very well. Comments from the public? I think we can just ask the public. Anybody want to speak? Mark, you have any questions? All right, we did well enough. We got you quieted down, didn't we? All right. So, comments from the public is closed. Our next regular meeting is December 15th. And it's scheduled to be at Park Heritage Middle School.
Yeah, I have us at the
6
middle
o'clock.
school. There was a request to use this space by the town for a potential town meeting that may happen here. I thought we'd just go ahead and plan to be at the middle school if the board's okay with that.
Very well, that's a change, and so with that, if there's nothing else, we're adjourned. Thank you all for coming.